So in 7.16, one of the big ones that's kind of subtle, so you may not have even noticed it, is HEIC support. So what does that mean? Well, it used to be the case that if you were to go down here, presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, my favorite features from 2024. Hi, and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if there's anything in particular that you really enjoyed, concentrating on the positive now, about ProPresenter in 2024, go ahead, tell me about it in the comments with this video. So there have been a lot of changes in ProPresenter over the last year. First off, a big one, it's no longer called ProPresenter 7, and we'll talk about that and other things. But if you were curious just which of the features that they added were my favorites, well, let's head over to my computer and we'll talk about it right now. So, of course, here we are in ProPresenter 7, and here I've got some notes on my iPad in front of me, and so I'm taking a look at those. So in 7.16, one of the big ones that's kind of subtle, so you may not have even noticed it, is HEIC support. So what does that mean? Well, it used to be the case that if you were to go down here, let's say right here, and you clicked on this little plus button, and you select from Finder or Windows Explorer, depending on your operating system. If you were to look for an image, so let's just HEIC. Okay, so this type of image, which is the default in iOS, so for iPads, iPhones, etc., it wouldn't import. But now it does. So there's just an image of one of the classes that I did a while back. So now I can import that no problem. I don't have to change it to JPEG or GIF, PNG, any of those. It'll just import like that. So that is a subtle one, but a really nice one in 7.16. Also, one of my personal favorites, down here you'll notice that we've got this image right here of Jesus. This is a public domain image, but you'll notice that there's black on either sides of this image. Well, that is a bit of a problem if you had live video coming in to here. I don't have live video, but basically this black is not black, it's transparent. So to solve that problem, I've got a couple of options, but one that they added in 7.16 is scale and blur. So if I right click on this and go to scaling, the bottom one is scale and blur. And notice that as soon as I apply that, I don't have any control over where this other copy of this image is and how much it's blurry, but being able to do that with one click is pretty cool. So I love that as an option. Also, down here in macros, so right here, let me hide myself real quick, you'll notice that not only can I change the color here, I've got this grid layout, that's new in 7.16, but also I have collections so that I can have different folders basically of those. So that's a pretty cool feature that they added. Additionally, just the fact that you can change these icons, so I can right click and change the icon. So I've got all these, and I can even import my own icon. So that's something else that's really helpful in 7.16. In 7.17, well, first off, they deleted the 7. So ProPresenter 7, the number 7 was always branding. So it was like Mac OS 10, which back then was just called OS 10, which was the name of the operating system for like a decade. And they just kept tacking on numbers on the end. The version of OS 10 was what they were talking about. So now we're talking about the version of ProPresenter 7, and we've just dropped the 7. So starting with ProPresenter version 17, that's how we're going to refer to it. So there is not now, nor will there ever be, a ProPresenter 8. If you wanted a ProPresenter 8, then go back to ProPresenter 7.8, because with the new naming scheme, that's what they've got, is ProPresenter. Basically, 7 became just branding, and so now we're on 17. So, a little confusing, but helpful for you to know. Now, if we continue on, before I showed you macro collections. Where's my, there we go. Now we also have props collection. So let me hide myself again. We go to props, and look, we've got collections of props as well. So that's pretty cool. Also a grid layout of those, which I find really nice. Also, we have this, which is single prop mode right here. So before, if you wanted a particular prop to stay on for a certain amount of time and then off, you'd have to basically, so here, let me. Do you like these videos, but you'd really like to learn from me in person? Well, I've got some great news for you. I am traveling around the country and maybe even around the world training churches on how to use ProPresenter. So I've got a either a 1 or a 1.5 day class that you can attend. For more details, head on over to TDM.fyi/events24, the top one right here, and register for the event nearest you. If there is no event that's near you, no problem. You can request one. So head on over to tdm.fyi/class request. That's this one down here. And you can say, hey, I'm interested in attending a class, or even I'm interested in hosting a class. Up to you which you prefer. In the last one, that is just information. It's not obligation, so don't hesitate to put your information in there, and I'll let you know when there's a class in your area, or we'll talk about what it takes to host a class. It's probably a lot less than you imagine that it is. So head over there, and I look forward to meeting you in person. So let's say that I was doing this one. This won't show really anything. So if I wanted that to go away, I would have to count to myself and then click it to go make it go away. Or if I wanted to go from one to the other, what I would basically need to do is disable the one, so disable it, and then click on the other. But now we've got two features. First, we've got single prop mode, so I can do that, and when I go from one to the other, they just swap out like that. So that's something that's nice to know. By the way, that follows the collection. So if we go down here to my GeoParty collection, notice that single prop mode is off. So I like that. Also, I can right click and add an auto clear. So after 5 seconds, that will clear. So that's really something that's very helpful here. Also, they added user accounts with this particular version of ProPresenter, ProPresenter 17. So you have the ability to control yourself what seats of ProPresenter are registered and which ones are not. So that's something that is really nice to do. Also, you can move Bibles, so you can uninstall a Bible on a different instance of ProPresenter. Let's say you were using a Bible at home, you forgot to uninstall it before you went to church, and darn if you don't need it there at church, well, you can handle that remotely. So that's nice as well. Finally, they've reorganized the settings. So if we go up here to ProPresenter and then settings, yours might say preferences depending on your operating system, but we've got these reorganized. One that I think is really helpful is integrations here. So if I click on that, notice first off, Resi is located here with this other stuff. It used to be called services, and it only had these three. But now integrations is basically third-party integrations. So Planning Center, not run by Renewed Vision. Multitracks, also not. Song Select by CCLI, not. And Resi, not. So these are extra services that you would have to pay for, but they're all in one spot. So I find that helpful because, as I said, it used to be called services, and when it was called services, I don't think it was as clear as it is now. So that is really nice as well. So the reorganization of this is something that I really, really appreciate. Finally, with 18, which is what I'm using right here, I'm actually also beta testing 18.1, but with 18, we have the ability to bring things in that we couldn't bring in before or send it out. So if I go back up here to ProPresenter and settings and then inputs, notice I've got one called Aircast. So basically I can turn this on and then I can Aircast from an iOS device like my iPhone or my iPad. Now I can only Aircast one of them into ProPresenter at a time, but you could imagine a situation where you need to get the pastor's iPad onto ProPresenter. You can do that with Aircast. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. Now, I said one new way to bring stuff in. We've also got a new way to bring stuff out. So if you click underneath here at the, not seeing where that is. So maybe up here. Yeah, new windowed output. So I can select any of the ones up here as a windowed output. So let me say I wanted the stage screen, and now this stage screen is actually a screen that I created to be a multi-view. So what I could do is, let's imagine that this entire screen is not my control screen. It's in fact, here, I need to get better at using that in macOS, but instead it is just a regular screen. So on the left hand side I could have my multi-view where I have my in-person screen and my live stream screen, and I can see what's going on those at the entire time. Then over here I could put a Microsoft Word document, for example, and when I do that, then I can have both of those things on one external monitor. So that's a helpful thing. Also, if you were using Zoom or something where you can capture just a window of a screen, you could capture this. So if you were live streaming from Zoom with ProPresenter. So lots of stuff. With 18, they did a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and the behind the scenes stuff for some people caused some issues. So if you're having issues with that, just know that 18.1 is coming. I just played with the new beta of that today and sent some feedback to Renewed Vision because I just want it to be the best that it can be. Even though I don't work for them, it's something that's very helpful to know. So that is all the stuff that you're going to find in um, the new versions of ProPresenter in 2024 that I'm really excited about. If you like this content, you'd like my ProPresenter 7 Quick Start course, so head on over to TDM.fyi slash pro, the numbers, pro and quick. Give me your name and email address, and I'll make a login for you for free. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.